was relentless, it was tough. It's been an incredibly challenging year for me personally off the pitch. Lots of hurdles to navigate, but on it it's been an incredible journey. The players have developed and grown into some fantastic footballers. The coaching staff is elevated to a whole new level, and where we've been able to take the players to, and some of the performances, and sat here fourth in Tier 3 is an incredible achievement. I think JD said it, we probably set our overall season target too low. It was just to finish in the top sort of 30 points we were targeting, so to get considerably more is obviously an incredible achievement. Yeah, and just overly really proud of how far we've come as a women's football club. Exeter City Women's Football Club has come. Yeah, incredible.
I want to look at the season chronologically. Starting back in the summer, obviously you took full sole charge of the team and you brought in a few new faces in the backroom staff and rejigged it a little bit. How's that dynamic been for you this season amongst you and your coaches?
Yeah, brilliant. Really well. Obviously the fans all know Craig Woodman really well. I've known him extremely well for a long time. He's my brother-in-law. Obviously watched his career very closely and always had that eye for detail naturally. And when I told him that I was going to be taking the role full time and looking for a first team coach / assistant, would he be interested? He was more than happy to help me personally. And then I think as he's grown throughout the season, he's come more and more involved. He loves it here now. The girls love him, I think. He demands an incredibly high standard from them, and he's relentless in always driving that standard. But I think that back unit has really paid off from having him. He works specifically really closely with individuals and then that defensive line. And then obviously it works really well with the rest of the group. George is fantastic. He's my main man. He's my go-to. I trust him with a lot of decisions, and he's always able to give me a really sound answer when I'm either on the ceiling reeling from something, or I'm a bit low on confidence, or a bit low on a decision that needs to be made. He's really good and able to find that middle ground and give me what I need. And then the rest of the staff are just fantastic in everything they do. They go above and beyond their pay grades, above and beyond their job specs for the girls, for the club, because they believe in what we're trying to do here. And I think finishing fourth and retaining the county cup and everything that we've done is just a huge credit to them off the pitch, because they really do set the standards for the girls on it.
There was a few key players that also left at the beginning of the season, and you weren't too busy in making new signings, but I think there was more of an opportunity for players to step up, and one of those that did was Sophie Gillies, and I guess she really proved herself on that first game of the season against MK Dons in that central striker role. Yeah,
I'm just smiling because I remember my conversation here with Sophie after the Bournemouth game, and I said, is it something you're looking to do, stay with us? And she said yes, but not at left wing back. And then she's obviously played the entirety of the season as a centre forward, finishing second in the goal scoring charts with 23 goals in all competitions is a fantastic achievement for her. It's a fantastic achievement for the club. We wouldn't be in these positions without key players and key moments throughout the season. That was obviously rewarded with her contract later in the year, but yeah, she's an incredible asset to this football team. She's an incredible human being and person. So yeah, I'm incredibly happy for her to have had the success that she's had.
And that start to the season, a 7-0 win against MK, then 4-0 away at Lewis, a team that had only just been relegated from the Championship. I mean, you can't ask for a much better start to being in a new division.
No, absolutely not. 2 clean sheets was the biggest takeaway we took from that, and that this team could compete, and we weren't ever going to get ripped open. The Lewis game really did instill some confidence in our players that we can go to teams away from home and play a style of football that we knew could work for us, and then equally defend the box when we needed to. Because they did have some moments in that game, but we just were too strong for them on the day. They've had a strong finish to the season, so I'm glad we started with them nice and early. But again, just testament to the step up from the players. We knew that they would be able to do it. I knew that I didn't need to recruit masses of numbers and give the girls an opportunity, and that's proved dividend throughout the whole season.
And I think if we were going to raise eyebrows at the start, they were raised even further when we went 2-0 up against Ipswich at St James Park in early September. I know that game didn't finish in a win for us, but it felt like a real statement.
It did, and it's really cliche to say, but we knew that we had a performance like that in us. We performed like that all season. We started the season flying, so why wouldn't we go into a home game against the title favourites with no fear, no expectation? Let's just go out and do us. And that's been our motto all season, is we only worry about ourselves. It's all about us. We respect other teams, of course we do. We know they have threats, but it's all about what we do on the day. We know we're a very clinical team in moments, and we know we can grind out performances. So yeah, to go 2-0 up and to draw the game eventually, it wasn't a case of we've lost 3 points. It was a point gain, definitely. And yeah, it just really gave us that momentum to push on into September and really go for it.
Did you maybe see teams maybe approach us a little bit differently after those first few wins?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think people started to talk. I think maybe the New Kids on the Block title maybe dropped off, and people thought, actually, we better do our homework here. And that's not them being arrogant. I think that was just them thinking tier 4 team coming up, maybe a bit complacent with being, you know, unbeaten all season before. How would they handle it? The girls certainly rose to the occasion.
After that, the team faced a challenge that they hadn't faced in a number of years, the first home defeat in, I think, over 2 years, before a tough day away at Wimbledon. We obviously knew coming into this league that there were going to be challenges, there were going to be setbacks along the way. Do you see them now, those first few defeats, as maybe learning curves that the squad grew from?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we lost to Oxford at home, it wasn't so much of the loss that bothered us, it was the performance. We were nowhere near the levels that we needed to be for large parts of that game. It raised a few eyebrows internally in the squad, and they started to understand that we needed to make sure that training was on the money every week. You know, we can't let our standards slip. So it was a good reaction from the girls. I think Wimbledon was one of those results where when the wheels fall off, they tend to fall off quite quickly. Being reduced to 10 players, you know, conceding a penalty, everything kind of just went wrong for us that day. I think the bus broke down as well on the way home, so we were stranded for a fair few hours as well. So their wheels literally did fall off the bus that day. But it was a really good moment for us. We needed it in a weird way, because it made us appreciate things a little bit differently, and appreciate the hard work that does go into this league, that there is no easy game and that everybody is capable of beating everybody. So yeah, it helped us realign and steady the ship. It wasn't panic stations from us at all, but it just made sure that we stayed true to the work hard ethic that we have here, and yeah, staying humble.
And I guess you couldn't have asked from any better reaction than a 3-0 win at home park.
Exactly that. You know, the message was to the girls in the week's prep that it's just another game. We don't need to change anything. We are a very good footballing team. We've just, you know, come undone twice. You know, we need to tighten a few things here and there. And then to go to your local rivals, get a clean sheet on their home pitch is a fantastic achievement for any team. Yeah, the performance for me was the standout. You know, big players stepped up in moments, and we just took our moments in that game. And I think we were thoroughly deserved of the win.
I'm going to talk about the fans a couple of times, but especially in that game, there was something quite unusual for a women's game at this level, which was an away end where we had well over 150 fans, which is incredible support for any women's team. And, you know, there was a real special moment at the end of that game where you really felt the connection between the fans, the players, the coaches, everyone at the club, which I guess is basically summing up what you're all about. Summing
up what we're about, summing up this unique football club, summing up what the women's team really love is connection with the fans and with the community. I think it was a midweek game as well, wasn't it? So to have over 150 fans travelling down over an hour to a midweek fixture is just a testament to them. They're incredible. They followed us home and away all season, and you know it's really cliche to say we've got the best fans around, but we really do have them. As I said, win, lose or draw, home or away, they're always turning out in their numbers. And I think that photo of us all together at the end is an iconic photo for us for the season, yeah.
It was in that autumn time that our FA Cup run began as well. Obviously, we had another great win at home park, 5-1 there, and then a really hard-fought 3-1 win against Worthing, where I think the players had to show a different side to themselves. You know, they're taken all the way to extra time by a team in the division below them and really grinded out a result to take City to history equalling fourth round.
Yeah, absolutely, and that 5-1 victory was incredible. I can still picture Amber now turning on the afterburners, flying down the wing, and squaring to finish for one of the goals. So And then to take us into that tough fixture against Worthing, I think a little bit of underestimation from the girls. I think they went into the game just thinking that because we are Tier 3, we may get a result here. And that's football. That is the beauty of football. It can punch you in the face at any moment in time. They went 1-0 up, and they were thoroughly deserving of that. They were the better team for a large part of that game. And then, like you said, our resilience kicked in, our doggedness come out. We saw players rise to the occasion. I'm often heard on the sideline talking about being brave, and players were brave in taking the ball and doing things that you might not see us do normally in a week game. So yeah, it was a big moment for us, and obviously put us on course to play in Sunderland later in the season.
Yeah, and after that Sunderland game, obviously the result didn't go in our favour, but you spoke about how the club's ambition is to one day be a championship team, and that was really our first taste of what championship football is like, and it's shown us the standard, I guess, which the players can aspire to be at. Yeah,
not just the players, but the coaching staff, the club, how we approach things, how we do things, logistics and operations. They showed us a lot of things. On the pitch, they were just physically far stronger than us, quicker, fitter, and they just got to everything before we could get to anything. Before we'd even thinking about getting there, they were already there. So it was a really good test from our players, a lot of whom had only ever experienced the highs of Tier 4. So to play against a championship team was a fantastic achievement for us, and a really good test of where we're at. I think the game, again, taught us a lot about ourselves in how we bounce back from such a big defeat, because it's not often that we've had a whooping, so to speak, in that demean. So we stood up, we took it on the chin, we bounced back, and like I said, the club has learned a lot. I would be lying if I would be sat here saying that I don't have aspirations to manage in the championship and higher. I think all my players would love the opportunity to play higher. Who wouldn't? This women's football is growing at such a rate now that it's now possible for us to have these aspirations and dreams, and we need to have them so that the future generation know that it is a possibility. So we will continue knocking on the door to be in as close to a championship club as possible. And like I touched on, I think it was really good for the backroom staff and the operations and logistics to see just how a top-end championship club operates. I think they flew down the night before, stayed overnight, travelled down, and just all those sorts of aspects on how we can do those things in the future. So yeah, really good learnings for us as a club.
Speak there though about growing as a club. The club did something just before that game that we've never done before in signing 2 players on loan. Maya and Fern came in from Bristol City, and they've both become firm fan favourites during their few months here so far. But just on the aspects of signing players on loan in general, that's obviously a new thing for Exeter City, and will be something I'm guessing you're looking to explore more going into next season.
Yeah, definitely. I've had the privilege of working with Bristol City PGA for the last 6 months as their under-21s coach. So it was a relationship that opened up through that. We had a conversation with the head of recruitment about bringing in some players to the first team. Obviously, Maya and Fern turned up training session and have never looked back since. And they're just, again, it just shows that this club's moving in the right direction. We want to make sure that we have partnerships with PGAs, that we're attracting young, talented local players that can come in and make our squad better, but then also have opportunities to then further their time in women's football, whether or not that's through Bristol City or whether or not that's through us. That partnership was critical for us moving forward as a club, and I'm thankful that it's gone well, and we'll be hopeful that we can have some positive conversations over the summer about the next Maya and Fern and what the future may hold for them.
They've both made an impact on the squad as well, and I've really settled into the social groups. We had a few long away games at the start of this year, going off to Billericay to Ipswich. So obviously an opportunity for the players to integrate themselves in the squad, which is something they both did really well.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of good renditions of some karaoke songs has helped along the way. But no, they have really integrated well. I think it helps when you're playing and you're playing well and you win games of football, you earn the respect straight away. But this group of players that we've assembled it's all about the right characters, and Maya and Fern fit straight into that. The current players here there's no egos in this team. They were always really welcoming and warming to the girls. I'm hopeful that we may not have seen the last of them, but I do have to respect that they are Bristol City players, and we may not see them again in a red and white Exeter shirt. But yeah, I'm hopeful that positive conversations can happen over the summer, which will allow that to happen.
As we went into the spring, I think there was a sign of how much the team had progressed during their year in the division when we had wins against AFC Wimbledon and Oxford. I said we struggled against earlier that season, and both wins very hard fought, very slim victories, but a great sign of the progression we had made.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the turn of Christmas, I don't know the actual stats, but they would be in my ear telling me now. I think our goals ratio increased. I think the goals that we conceded decreased quite considerably. The chances that we were giving away came down quite considerably as well. And I think the team just found a different way. You know, I remember going ahead in that Oxford game and thinking, for all the possession Oxford had and for all the nice patterns of play that they had, they didn't hurt us at all. And that was down to the girls in front, you know, putting a real shift in from the front two all the way back to Bondi in goal. And then the players that came off the bench that day really put in a great shift. And I think the turnaround from the Wimbledon game, making sure that we didn't get beaten twice by a team in this division was really crucial. We could have and should have probably won that game by a bigger margin, but that's football, you know. And then they've scored a late equaliser just before half-time, which I was incredibly frustrated about. And we've had to show character to dig in then and go on and find a winner. And we've needed Liv to make some big saves in that game, if I remember rightly. And again, just another contribution from a player that's had a fantastic season as well. So yeah, it's been a big learning curve throughout the season, but we've gone from strength to strength. And I think we're probably one of the only teams, alongside maybe Watford, that probably didn't want the season to finish when it did because of the strength that we were going through and the run that we were on. Yeah, we need to make sure that we take that into pre-season. And then we come back hitting the ground running come August when those fixtures are released.
There were two more Devon derbies after that, but the first one, a 1-0 win at Coach Road, celebrated not only by Sophie Gilly's goal, but then also her becoming the first contracted player in the club's history. And I know you've spoken already saying how she's only going to be the first of many, but since we come under being run by the club in the summer, it's a great step forward for Exeter City women. Absolutely,
it's a great step forward for Exeter City as a football club to have a women's team asset on a contract, and somebody of Sophie Gilly's calibre is a testament to the work that has gone on behind the scenes to make that possible. You're right, she's not going to be the only one. There are many to come, and we'd like to start that as soon as we can. Obviously, we need to wait for the window to open to restart contracts and make sure that players are happy. We've started conversations with players, and I'm hopeful that, you know, all of the squad will be on contract come the first game of the season. But if not, that, you know, we have more assets for this football club, because ultimately we're in a business, we're in a world where we need to make, you know, business and we need to make money. And Sophie Gilly's, she's just a huge asset to the football club, basically. Yeah. And if we can get more girls on contracts, that'll obviously increase our assets and make us a football club that people want to play for and people and clubs want to have partnerships with.
Like I said, there was two more Devon derby wins. I mean, in total this season, that's 4 wins out of 4, 15 goals scored. We're also picking up a county cup in that process as well. I think it's official beyond any doubt that for 2024-25, Devon is red. Devon is
well and truly red, yes. I just want to talk about that 1-0 win. For me, it was, yeah, just a moment, a real pivotal moment in our season, I think, just going into the final run. You know, Argyle were desperate for points. You know, they've now obviously mathematically safe and they are staying in the division, but they didn't know at that time. It was a lot of question marks, and they came out and they really gave us a really good game and were strong for large parts of the game. So for us to show resilience and character and stay in the game, because they did have big moments in that, and then go on to win it, was just a huge, I wouldn't call it a relief, because I was confident that we were going to win the game, but equally a point would have not been a disaster for us. But to win the game in the manner that we did late in the game, for it to be Sophie just as she's signing that contract, was a real statement. And then the 6-0 win to retain our trophy 3 times in a row. What a performance from the girls. I think it's close to, I think I've said this many a times, it's close to the most perfect performance we've had all season. We were fantastic. Each individual player was superb. And yeah, I can't think of a better first half performance than that first half in that cup final.
Finally, on the pitch, there was no better way than probably to round off the season at St James Park in front of a record crowd with what you described as a thrilling advert for women's football, that comeback against Watford at the weekend. It summed up our season, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I would have given anything for that late one to have gone in, or for us to have won the game earlier in the fixture. But what a game it was. We switched off for 5 minutes. We knew their dangerous capabilities. But for me, it was tactically for us to be able to switch to something that we've not done before. We very, very rarely come away from our usual formation, our usual game plan. And for us to switch it up on the last day of the season and be incredibly brave in front of 3,000 people and try something and expose each other to something new and ask demands of each other was the highlight for me of probably the season. The fact that we stuck with it, we were brave as a coaching team. We knew that it could go one or two ways, but we were prepared to do that. We know that these girls are quality. I say it every single week, but I think they finally realised just how good they were in the second half of that game when they executed that comeback. For me, that was one of the highlights and is a really proud moment for me, because the players, like I said, truly believed that they could go toe-to-toe with what was a very good championship team the year before, and has been on a 9-game unbeaten run. So to go 2-0 down and then finish the game 2-2 with chances to win it was, real credit to the girls on a very emotionally driven day, with the crowd, with players leaving, with the heat, with everything that came with it. Like I said, I couldn't have been prouder of the girls.
That record crowd as well, over 3,000 people at a women's game for Exeter City women. I mean, a few years ago, we barely touched 4 figures. And now we're at that stage. We've spoken about the fan base all season, but they're only growing, they're only getting stronger, and that must drive you all on. Absolutely.
I mean, I keep saying it, but people behind the scenes don't get the credit that they deserve. One in particular, David Gribble, is incredible. The work that he does is tireless, and he will continue to work as hard as he possibly can to make sure this football club is well and truly on the map. He does it for the love of the game. He does it because he believes in the girls and because he believes in what the football club is trying to do. And days like Sunday don't come around often in your career. I remember playing in front of 30 at Cullompton in Speeds Meadows. So to play in front of 3,000 people on the final day of the season in Tier 3 is probably the icing on the cake for this year. But what next year holds is exciting. The club are willing to push us to new heights, are willing to take us to new territory, and we need to be ready for that. We need to be excited by that. We need to be scared of that and see what the possibilities are for sure.
On that new territory, obviously we won't have the Zoes with us, Zoe Cunningham and Zoe Watkins. You expecting any others to be leaving the squad this summer?
As far as I'm aware, I'm not expecting anybody else. Like I said, I've had brief conversations with everybody. I just need final approval on a few things at board level before official contracts can be put out to players, or packages can be put out to players. But I'm really excited that the core of this group will be staying together. As I've touched on already, I need to make sure that conversations are had in the right way with Maya and Fern at Bristol City, and then about any potential other players. The phone's ringing for players to want to join this club, which is a really exciting opportunity for people, for players to be involved in. For once, we are the club that a lot of players want to come and play for, which is exciting.
I guess the signing of Beth Everson earlier this season, a young, hungry player, has proven herself at a lower level and wants to make that step up, shows the type of calibre of player you're after.
Absolutely, players that are like you've just said there, that are willing to learn, that are wanting to learn, that aren't the finished article, that can fit into systems, that are willing to put the hard graft in, that are willing to listen to coaches and go on a journey with us. We're not going to win every single game. We're not going to lose every single game. We want to make sure that players are developing. It's the ethos of the football club. So we want to make sure that we're following that through as well. We've got a fantastic pathway that are producing players at a great rate. So we want to take them along with us on the journey as well. We're like I said, we're a club that people want to come and join now. And I think that's because of all the right things that are going on the pitch, but equally what the club are doing off of it as well.
I want to finish with one final tough question, and you can take a moment to think about it. What's been your favourite moment of this season?
Yeah, I think it would probably be one of the Devon derbies, the 5-1 at Argyle. Torrential rain, potentially the game being called off. We could barely get down the A38 with the roads being closed, players struggling to get there. I think we were 1-1 at half-time, and players were just having a little bit of a look at themselves, 1 or 2, not sure, if it was going to be our day because of everything that had gone against them. And then that second half performance was everything that I ask of my players. Leave everything out there, be brave, enjoy the moment that you're in, and as soon as that second goal went in to take us 2-1 up, we never looked back. And I think that was a moment in the season where we then kind of kicked on and really pushed on for the rest of it, and that led into some other great moments, the 1-0 win, the 2-1 against Wimbledon, that really just put us on a fantastic roll towards the end of the season.
Thank you, Abbie, and enjoy your summer off.
Thank you.